All right, guys, it's your legal bestie, attorney Symone Redwine, with another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? And today's episode is going, ooh, my hair is doing whatever it wants. Sorry, guys. Today's episode is going to be particularly interesting. It's going to be a two-part episode. So we are starting today at noon. I have my co-host for the day is going to be Vanessa from the Realitea Recap podcast. She's going to join me because she is the blogger that initially broke the news of Christian Gold, Jennifer Williams' fiance's arrest. So thank you for joining us today, Vanessa.
Thank you
And
for
so,
having me.
excellent, excellent. So, in this segment, in this first 30 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to give you updates on the case, and we're also going to kind of trace the case to where we are today. And this is the case of Christian Gold, Jennifer Williams' fiance from Basketball Wives, and their race to the altar. And their race to the altar has also includes allegations started by myself, attorney Symone Redwine, of scamming. And so the second part, and we have a separate link for that, is going to be the victim speak out. And that's because every Sunday I've rolled out an episode that I call this series Sunday Service. And that's because as attorneys, we are expected to do some pro bono service, which means free legal work every year in order to maintain our license. So I have allocated Sundays so that on this channel, we have call-in. So you can call in with your legal questions to get some assistance. There are various disclaimers. I'm not your lawyer. I am a lawyer. And we just kind of work out the legal issues in the way you would if you called your bestie who happened to be an attorney. Right. And so we did this in two segments because there are so many victims that I'm concerned that if we don't break it apart, everyone won't be able to join if they want to speak. Now, I don't know exactly how many want to speak today, but I have spent the week both discussing with various victims as well as combing through evidence of his scams. And we're going to get more into that. So that's the second. So if some people were confused, like, why, girl, Vanessa, what you laughing at?
I'm over here sipping the tea. I can't wait.
Yes. So if you are, it's like some people are like, why is there two? Is this correct? It's because the victims, they want to come on. And with StreamYard, you're limited to how many people you can have on simultaneously. So that's going to allow them the opportunity. And there's evidence that they've showed me that I will be sharing with you from his words, from his messages, where you guys get to decide. You're going to get to decide, do you feel that they are being scammed? Hit that like. Thank you, Ivita. Should hit the like because he went on Carlos King this week in response to our coverage of these issues to defend themselves and tell their sides of the story. So we're going to start with I'm just, for those that are joining, basically, I'll recap what's gone on that made them even do that. And then I want to hear your thoughts, Vanessa, on this Carlos King interview and what some of your favorite parts were. But basically, what's going on is this all started because there was a clip from Basketball Wives where Jennifer Williams' fiance, Christian Gold, he goes by Gold. That's not his real name. His real name is Christian LaSalle Walden. But where Christian goes on the show and he tells Jen, hey, I got restitution in the amount of 250,000, and that's going to need to get taken care of in order for us to get married. And he went on Christian, and I'll say he went on Carlos King and said, "Oh, I never asked her for that money. Let me tell you something, nigga. I'm sorry. Let me tell you something. I didn't say that. I'm gonna bleep that out. Count to 5, so I can edit it out on the. Let me tell you something. We know what it is when you're putting that emotional pressure on us. Like, their wedding was weeks away, and he is now telling her, I don't know if I can attend if I don't get this 250 to pay for my restitution. Oh, and by the way, ironically, the wedding is $250,000. Let me pull up that clip for y'all. Vanessa, while I'm pulling that up, what are your thoughts, girl? Where to even start?
I felt the same. I felt like when he told her, it was ironic that it was the same amount of the wedding. I also, because in that same scene, they showed a past clip of him saying that, he had this domestic case, that the judge didn't like him. and he went to jail. And I was saying, well, what could have caused a $250,000 restitution from what you're kind of passing off as just a little altercation that you did some time about because the judge didn't like you? It wasn't adding up.
Right.
Because see, I love the other show, Love After Lockup.
Me
And
too, girl.
you
Oh, that's
believe
gonna tie into this too.
yeah,
That
like
actually is gonna tie in. Go ahead.
yeah, and usually restitutions are, we see they robbed a bank or it's like they owe money back from either damages or
That's
like money
exactly what
they
it is.
stolen, right? So I'm trying to understand, well, what could have possibly transpired that you have a 250,000 restitution just based on how you just passed it off as, oh, it was just a little altercation. It wasn't making sense for me at all.
And so here's the clip that she's referring to. Here we go. Let's watch it together.
And then, of course, the situation we talked about with me and...
As you watch this clip, what I want you to tell us in the comments, do you feel like in this clip, he was implicitly asking her to help him with his 250? Or do you think it was just a little FYI? Your thoughts here. Well, pay close attention to his wording.
And then, of course, the situation we talked about with me and parole and still paying restitution.
Yeah.
It's an astronomical amount that I have to get to them in order to make sure I'm off. And we're talking a little under 250,000.
Christian is on probation from a case 10 years ago that is still affecting his life.
I went to prison behind a toxic relationship.
Really?
Never put my hands on her, right? I'm blocking the door. So I'm trying to have a conversation. It gets heated. And of course, the judge had it out for me. She sent me to prison.
I knew about the restitution since day one. However, I didn't know the number. We have this extravagant wedding that is going to cost somewhere near that. It's just bad timing. So
all right. And then part two of the whole situation is when I heard this restitution, I was like, I said what you said, Vanessa, that doesn't make sense. And it was a bold-faced lie. The truth of the matter is this restitution was actually $12,500. He went on Carlos King lying through his pretty white teeth about all of that. Here we go. And is this the right one? No. Oh, that's the sentencing hearing. Hold on, but I'm going to put the order back on the screen of the 12,005. I've been showing that one for a while now, so people are pretty familiar with that. Here we go. Restitution was this one. 12,500. I understand it's a bit small, guys, but it's just right here. Here at the bottom is Christian's signature. It is called a consent restitution order. Consent means you agreed to it, dummy. You agreed to it. And now you're over here playing dumb. Now, in the Carlos King interview, he implied that he said, oh, that other amount, that 12,000. I was the one that broke the 12,000 because I pulled up the records. Because like you said, I said, that doesn't make sense. Restitution is for reimbursing you for something that you incurred. Now, some stupid person got on my page with an attitude. I'm not going to post their comment. But if you see the comment, feel free to tear that up. But they were like, what kind of lawyer are you? You're an idiot. You can get pain and suffering. This is a teaching moment. On this page is for infotainment. We learn and we get entertained, right? That's why we do the tea. And I'm okay with you being confused or asking anything with a respectful tone. But when you call me stupid, then I have to show you how dumb you are. And in this instance, you are right. You can certainly get pain and suffering, but that is in civil court, dingbat, not criminal court. Yeah. In criminal court, all that you can get is restitution because criminal judges are not equipped to determine how much your pain and suffering should be worth. They specifically have civil courts for that. So for some people who ask the very legitimate question of could the 250 comprise stuff like pain and suffering, the answer is it can in civil court, but not for restitution. So I hope that clarifies that part. Does that make a little more sense, Vanessa?
It does. Now I need some help from you here because I was trying to understand, well, could the restitution incur interest in that because it was so long ago?
It could.
Okay.
It could, but it would state so on the order.
Okay.
And even if it did, right, the max interest would be 7 or 8%.
Okay.
And from, even if it's from 2015, and the thing is, I don't think that would have began to accrue until after he came out of prison. But even if
Okay.
it did, it wouldn't be 250.
Okay.
Yeah. And he also referenced like $300 a month, which are his probation fees. He'd been paying those along the way. So again, that doesn't equal the 250. Here's what I think happened. If you watch that Carlos King interview, and I'm gonna see if I could pull the clip up, she was serious about having him confirm the 250 was the amount.
Wait.
Because in that restitution clip, Carlos finally towards the end was like, so did you pay the 250? You paid the 250 restitution. And what you hear him say is, I paid my restitution. He said, but the 250 restitution, he said, the restitution is handled. And then Jen says, well, babe, it's important to, clarify the amount. And he says, yeah, all of that has been handled. He never clarifies the amount.
Right.
That makes me believe that she gave him money towards it. That's what I believe.
And also
Go for it.
What didn't make sense to me was that it was almost as if he was insinuating there's two separate restitutions, and that there was like his family hired a lawyer to like fight for him to get out. So there's like two separate cases, or that it was reopened for him to get justice. I did not understand that at all. That's why I was like, I need your help. What the hell is he talking about?
So what he was doing is lying. What he's referring to is this hearing right here. Okay. He had his trial. After the trial, this is called the sentencing hearing. So there were two. This is what he's probably referring to. There were only two. This is where they went through to determine what the restitution should be. Okay. And so this is where they went through and they talk about including the fact that there were prior domestic violence incidents. And they talk about her medical bills. Yeah. Oh, here we go. On this page, this is page 15. In it, she discusses the total restitution number was somewhere in the neighborhood of approximately $6,000 as of that day. Then the court goes in and says, but she was in a wheelchair for 3 months and couldn't work. And she didn't have, insurance. I believe it was from the shoe store at Lenox to cover all of her injuries. Oh, by the way, in the Carlos King interview where he talks about he was working in corporate America and got his girlfriend a job there too, he's talking about Aldo's shoe store in Lenox Mall. Yeah. He was slanging loafers.
I also was trying to understand, how old was she? Because he was saying he was 19 and that she was younger. So I'm like, well, how much younger was she than him?
Not that much. She was like a year younger. She was 19, or she was 18, like just about to turn 19 the day of this hearing. And this just goes to her physical therapy, her this, that, and a third. So when he says there are two transcripts, there is a transcript for the trial for guilt or innocence, right? Because they don't talk about restitution when you haven't even been found guilty. Then after that, after you're found guilty, to determine what that restitution would be, you have like a sentencing hearing. But also the sentencing hearing is where they took all the evidence, including in segments of this, they talk about what he actually did. Now, he tells this little rendition on Carlos King, and where he goes into basically she was drinking too much. She wanted to leave. He took her keys and then he left. And she jumped out the window. And he alleges that maybe she was trying to unalive herself. He forgets to tell you the part where he locks her on the balcony and leaves with her keys. And she's on the 4th floor. It's like the equivalent of the 4th floor, the third of the 4th. And because she's stuck there overnight on the balcony, her only way out was jumping. And that's how she injured herself. She has a rod in her back. She broke both ankles. Because imagine falling off of a 4th floor building. And he says, well, I think it was her trying to brace herself. Well, which one is it, boo? You don't brace yourself if you're trying to unalive yourself. Okay? You let it roll. So
this man told us that he was just going from door to door, that he said that he was going to leave, but that he made it seem like he was packing a bag when she jumped off the balcony. And
he
you
just
telling
had
me
no idea
that
what was going to happen.
you telling me he locked her out there
Mhm.
and left her out there and he left?
Bye-bye. He said he didn't know what happened. He said the next day he gets a call from her mom, and it's like,
Lord.
here, let me see. He done pissed me off now. Let me see. I'm gonna play the clip. I'm going to play because I'm like, you just lying.
And you said she had a rod in her back, and
Uh-huh.
he said
Yeah,
she
but
just broke her ankle. That was it. She broke both her ankles.
For 3 months, this woman was out of work. Yeah, for 3 months, this lady was out of work. Hold on.
Y'all.
Let me get ready to here. Let me play this here. I'll share it. And boom.
My restriction on travel stemmed from that. You know what I mean? I would never ask her to take.
So this is him acknowledging that he knows he can't just go wherever he wants, which is part of the violation.
There's something that that she had nothing to do with. Yes, we're coming into a marriage. Yes, it'll get to a point where what do married couples do? Someone handles the money. And I told Jennifer, I want you to handle the money. Did I not?
Are you guys gonna get a joint account?
We'll have one, but we'll also have our own.
Okay.
Jennifer likes to go to Saks and all that.
That's not the clip. It is this one on Jump Into. Okay. It's 36.
How to break her fall?
Was it cement that she jumped on? Grass?
No. It was cement. So these, like, mind you, we're like you know what? I'll leave.
He's talking about their argument.
I'll leave. If you want to go, cool. I still have the keys, but I'm leaving. I pack a bag. At that point, she doesn't leave the apartment, right? And I call my cousin. I say, I need you to come get me, before it gets, escalates to a crazy situation.
Already crazy.
He came and got me. And the next morning I make a call, no answer. I make a call to her mother. She answered and she let me know that she was in the hospital from a jump off the balcony. So a garden style apartment I'm on the third floor, but at these actually have garages underneath. So it's equivalent to like the fourth floor.
So again, he's acting clueless.
Off the third floor balcony.
Off the third floor.
Was she trying to commit suicide?
I believe. I don't want to put those words in her mouth, but I believe so.
There we go. So that's the stupid part I needed y'all to see right there. Okay. So again, he makes no reference to the fact that he locked her on the balcony or any of that. Go ahead, and I'll let you take it from there. Well, you continue from there. So in the interview, though, the one thing that they didn't get to is the arrest warrant. So I want you to break down for us how you found out that there is a warrant for Christian's arrest and what it's for.
And honestly, I was doing my Thursday night podcast and I was just covering that they were, they're getting ready to get married. It's less than 30 days away. And I just jokingly said to my followers, I said, if you guys see anything out there, like, I need my followers to start giving me the tea. If you see something, say something, drop it in my DMs. And literally before my show was over, I had his arrest, his restitution payment, the warrant, everything in my inbox. And I looked at my husband. I said, oh my God, like, I'm going to get in trouble. But I went and I validated the information that was given to me. I went to the county, site and validated, and I saw the warrant that from his, I believe, parole officer who said that he had traveled without permission.
Yeah,
and it noted in there that the evidence of him traveling was due to pictures that his fiancée Jennifer had posted on her Instagram. And I went to her Instagram and I saw, because it specifically said he was in Switzerland in the warrant and in Italy. And I looked and she posted those pictures with him. They were doing wedding planning. They were like going to get like some type of watch or gifts for the wedding. Yeah. And she put their location. And I said, oh my God. And when I posted it, I swear I wanted to tag you so bad. And I was like, I don't know if I should. I don't know, but
No,
I'm going to
please
reach out
always
to
do
her.
that. Y'all
And
can
you saw it.
always tag me on that stuff because it makes it easier. So, and I want to say, so and now, guys, we're bringing you up to snuff. What's going on today and why? It looks like the judge is saying to this wedding in Paris. And I want to say thank you so much to Garden Rose for this super chat. She said Jen needs to cut you a check for saving her life. See, here's the thing though. She don't appreciate it. She thinks that we're haters and we want to ruin her life and we want to see her miserable. But the way my God works, my mighty, mighty God, when I don't listen, when I'm bullheaded and I don't listen, he does things where he smacks me down. Last year at this exact same time, I was supposed to be getting married, right? And I had little signs like, this is a dumbass idea, right? And I had little signs like, and so ultimately what God did was he had him, my ex-fiance, spend all the wedding funds. So when I went to go pay the final down payment from our joint wedding fund, we only had $15.37. So we couldn't get married. Similarly to how here, God, it looks like, is saying the judge is going to have to save you since you won't save yourself. Okay. And so we're going to break down to you the new motion that's on file. So I know this is like really small and kind of fuzzy to read. But here we go. I'm going to read the wording of it. Is what was so wild to me is the brazenness of what he did to get this warrant issued in the first place. I was just like, it's hard to be this stupid. It's really, really difficult. All right. So the gist of it,
chalk it up to, I was saying she just maybe has common sense, no street smarts is what I was just chucking it up to. But I feel exactly the way you feel, like she thinks we're hating when it's just like, for me, we're invested in you. You've been on our TV now since like 2010. We've seen you go through so many different relationships. And I don't know about what Carlos King says. She ain't my Black Barbie, but I do, you just want well for her, honestly, and just feel like you're ignoring the red flags that are in front of your face.
You really, really
No one's
do. And
hating, boo.
Yeah, so the summary of the behavior that was the problem here, it says on or about July 18th, the defendant left the state of Georgia without permission and traveled to California. So imagine if California is a problem, imagine how bad Europe is. Then it says the defendant is engaged to Jennifer Williams from Basketball Wives. Miss Williams posted her and the defendant in California on her social media. Miss Williams has other posts on her social media page that indicate her and defendant have been to Switzerland on or about July 6th and Italy on or about the 2nd. The defendant has not had permission to travel. On July 22nd, the supervising officer contacted the defendant to inquire if he left the state or country, in which he reported he had not. How stupid do you have to be?
Does he not know that he's in these pictures and Jennifer is posting them? Like, or does he not think they're looking at her social media?
So, who wrote driver seat? You are the biggest troll ever, but you funny. Driver seat said TMZ reported Jennifer bruised Christian's eyes during routinely teabagging. Okay, this is what we call satire. That did not happen. But thank you for the super chat. Keep them coming. Yeah, it was insane. Okay, so this happened, right? And so now here is the update, guys. The new motion that was filed. And we need to give Reality T recap. Go ahead, subscribe over there if you haven't. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe over here. But we don't give her flowers because this motion, did you realize this motion is citing you?
No.
Stay tuned. Here we go. It's a quick little motion, y'all. All right. You, me, one or two of us. I think I'm going to give you your flowers. It says, all right. It says, defendant went to trial for false imprisonment and domestic violence battery. Defendants was, Defendants was acquitted of the DV and convicted of false imprisonment. The defendant was sentenced to 10 years to serve 7 in custody, complete with DV intervention program, and to pay restitution the amount of $12,500. Hello, Hello, this was filed the same day the Carlos King interview came out, when he sat up there in our faces and continued to lie and imply he paid the $250. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
This is filed by his lawyer. This is his admission that he paid $12,500, not $250. Because you better believe if he paid a total of $250 in fees or restitution or anything to make this woman whole and to show his remorsefulness, he would have told the court. This is a motion, y'all. It says motion for walk-in hearing for modification to allow travel outside of the country or to close this case. So what this motion is asking for is either saying, please let me off probation a year early, because he was supposed to get off August of 2025. He said, either let me off early or let me go to my wedding in Paris. That's all he's asking for here. Let me off early or let me go to my wedding in Paris. So we're going to keep reading. Defendant was released on parole after serving 30 months of his sentence after counsel sent a letter to the parole board indicating several mitigating circumstances regarding the case. The defendant was released February 2018. Now that, remember in the video, he talked about hiring a lawyer and the lawyer did some things. Now, I believe that was when the lawyer came in, and you see here it says in paragraph 3, parole board, after counsel, a lawyer sent a letter to the parole board indicating several mitigating circumstances. And you do have a parole hearing. I believe this could be what he's talking about, because he hired a lawyer to defend him so he could get parole earlier than was supposed to. Without this, he would have done 7 years. Here, he only did like a 3 and some change. Then it says, since his release date, the defendant has completed all special conditions. He completed the DV intervention program. He consented to restitution and sent a money order for the final amount before counsel was hired. Okay. Hey, guys. This is a new lawyer. This is a new lawyer. We got his name here. Michael Maloof. That means he only paid that restitution recently. But you got all this money and you can't come up with $12,500 till now?
Yeah, you're worth $6 million, right? That's what
you're worth
said.
$6 million. You bought Jen a Rolls Royce. Where is it? You got her a Rolls Royce, but you don't have $12,500. Jen, do you hear me? Evelyn, I know. Somebody send Ev the clip. Help her girl. I believe she's already tried to in the background, and her girl just ain't hearing it. So she said,
I do. I told you, Evelyn came to my page last week and she followed me. And I said, And then she DM'd me and she said, thank you for covering Basketball Wives. You're doing a great job. And I was thinking to myself, I said, I know why you're here. And I'm like, and I'm thinking in my head, help your girl. If you want some PI hours that you was trying to get on the show investigating Jackie selling cat in 1987, this is what you need to be getting your PI hours on.
Somebody said, y'all know Jen paid that, talking about the restitution. Miss Donald, I think you're right. All right. So basically in paragraph 4, he admits, it says he completed his program. He consented to the restitution and sent a money order for the final amount before counsel was hired. Here's the thing. On his case docket, it says all payments made, and it's not even yet reflecting that restitution. It will soon. And that's also how we'll know that it was the $12,500, not the $250. But Jennifer gave him something as though it was $1250. That's why she was so focused on having him acknowledge that it was $250. Now, paragraph 5, the defendant has had no new criminal cases. We got some victims we're about to talk to in a moment. Has had no new criminal cases or brushes with law enforcement for 6 years. He has his own company and is scheduled to get married in September. It's September 14th, y'all. He was informed via Instagram that he had a warrant for his arrest.
Oh,
I think that was your post, boo. I think that was your post. It was either yours or me. I used the green screen to put his post behind. And the reason I think it was either of those is because his aunt wants to beat me up Auntie Lauren, hey, Auntie Lauren, I know you're watching. Please don't beat me up. Y'all, if I come up missing, Auntie Lauren has irked me. Okay, check her deep freezer. Because the way this lady wants to chop me up and put me in the freezer. I made that post about it and she went underneath it and then she's been reposting me. Mind you, this is the same aunt in the sentencing report. She's threatening the victim that had to jump out the window and get the rod in her back. She was threatening her on social media too. So I feel so honored, Auntie Lauren Stovall. Auntie Lauren
Well,
Stovall.
why is she threatening her? Because Christian left the interview making it seem like he was cool with the girl. Like they tried the relationship a second time and he made it seem like, you know, he was acquitted of the DV charges that, you know, like I didn't think there was an issue with the girl because I'm waiting for her to come tell her story. That's who I want.
I know that's right. Simply Cindy, his auntie is coming. She really is. That's why I'm telling you guys, check her deep freezer. If I go more than 3 days without posting, 2-3 days, check her deep freezer. Because first of all, she looked like she could cook. And second of all, she looked like she could fight real good back in her day. All right, so let's continue this. Okay, paragraph 5, it says the defendant had no new criminal cases. He was informed via Instagram that he had a warrant for his arrest. After speaking with the probation officer who obtained the warrant, he found out that it was for leaving the jurisdiction without the permission of the probation office. During his time on probation, the defendant has had a myriad of different officers and received different instructions on travel outside of the state. He would ask that, given the aforementioned information, he be allowed to have a walk-in hearing to prevent a period of incarceration during his scheduled wedding. In other words, he's saying, because traditionally, like if they find him anywhere, so that's why he's probably going to stay in Jennifer's house. He's probably not going to check the mail. He's not going to pick up an Amazon package, anything. Because literally, if the police chose to go to her house and knock on the door, they could take him to jail and he'll have to sit there until his hearing. Is how it works, because a warrant is a warrant. What he's asking is, hey guys, can I come in here and be permitted to have a hearing where you don't arrest me prior to my hearing date? And the court has said yes, guys. And that hearing will be September 6th. So we're going to finish this and we'll talk about it. And it says during his time, defendant, has a ready. It says, he would like, given the aforementioned information, to be allowed to have a walk-in hearing to prevent a period of incarceration during his scheduled wedding. His wedding is to take place in the middle of September. And the only violation he has had was leaving the state of Georgia without permission from probation or this honorable court. It says the defendant has had no prior convictions before this case. He had a theft, a shoplifting, which is we can consider that minor. And it says while in custody, he became a voracious reader and educated himself to become a better citizen. The end. Nobody cares. Nobody.
I thought he was acting like he was a good citizen before this, right? He was getting 6 figures, making 130,000. He was 19 and he went to school, and I thought he was saying he was already a good citizen. No? Okay.
Yeah, he's always been a good citizen, apparently. Here's what I found interesting. In this line, in number 7, paragraph 7, it says his wedding is to take place in the middle of September, and the only violation has been leaving the state of Georgia without permission from probation or this court. However, I know that the wording of this is like super small, but the final sentence on this, it actually says on August 16th of 2023, which is last year, it says there was an administrative hearing was held to address the defendant leaving the state without permission. In other words, he did the same thing last year. They had a hearing. They gave him a slap on the wrist. And here he is doing it again. But this time, he's doing it in the face of the court on national TV. What do you think? I don't see any way that the judge can be like, okay, I'll give you another chance. Like, you're not in big trouble.
No, I don't think, especially because at this point, they're going to have to make an example that you're not going to be able to have this public lavish wedding, be on national TV and knowing that you're not supposed to travel outside of the state of Georgia. There's no way. I'm
So, yes,
seated for
last
this
week- oh my
hearing. I
God.
didn't put that in my calendar.
What'd you say?
I said, I'm
Yes.
going to be seated for this hearing on the 6th.
September 6th, y'all. So Slasher Chick said, so he's already been reprimanded. Yes, he has already been reprimanded. So, but also before we move over and do the because the victims are in the one next door. Before we move over to the next set of live, I'm gonna drop the link so we can go over there. Lord have mercy. What I also found interesting is, so I talked to his bunkie, his cellie. Interestingly, his cellie is also on reality TV. His cellie was on Love After Lockup. His cellie was a sweetie potato. Yes, our other favorite show. You're not gonna guess. You're not gonna guess. He's like one of my favorite little sweetie patooties. Louie and Melissa.
You lying.
I'm not lying. Louie with the new teeth. Looking good, Louie with those teeth. Louie and Melissa. Let me see if I could get a photo of them up. Hold on, so you could see. But
Yes.
Louie was his bunkie, and Louie also invested, and Louie's been scammed. So let me see. And Melissa. So y'all see which one I'm talking about. There you go. But Louie had not been paid back either. He implied that he had made Louie all this money, and that you'll see.
Yeah. And they follow me, by the way, Louie and
They're
Melissa. And yeah, like she's a Jersey girl. I'm a Jersey girl. Like I would never have guessed that. But
Yeah,
that's right. He was in jail in Georgia and came to
Yep.
Jersey with
Who
Melissa.
knew? They were
Fake
cellmates. Here, let me share that one just so y'all can see who I'm talking about. There we go. Yeah, this couple. And so what I asked Louie about is I was like, hey, Louie, I saw you traveled. You went to like Mexico, after you were out. And Melissa don't play. See, his girlfriend, fiance, I'm not sure what their stage. I know they're girlfriend and boyfriend at least. She don't play. And so I know she's like me. She's a real follower. She's like, I wasn't sitting here, watching you do all this time and then, gonna let you do something stupid where you get sent back. And so he was like, no, I went to Mexico. I just asked for a pass, and that it's pretty easy to get. You just have to allow yourself enough time to get it. So this excuse here, and I knew that was the case. I understood that to be the case. So the excuse that always had a lot of different probation officers is straight goofy. Okay. It's straight goofy
because it's like
and ridiculous.
Different officer, same rules. I don't. It doesn't make sense. That sentence you read didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing of it is too is this is why though I to this day I don't believe that Jen knew he had no permission to leave the country for two reasons. I believe the way Jen wanted him to confirm so adamantly the amount of restitution at issue, I believe she gave him money towards it and therefore thought it had been handled. How many times have we dated an inept man who we're like, hey, you got this handled? And they're like, I got it, I'm the man. Only to find out they don't in fact have it.
Mm-hmm.
You're married, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And here. Yeah, all states have conditions about it. So Jen I believe that Jen probably thought, well, surely he wouldn't be taking pictures and doing all this stuff if he didn't have permission. Now, it sounds in the probation motion, the motion for the vacation pass, he's implying that, oh, well, the problem was because he had so many different probation officers. Here's how, there's one way for him to win this, okay, to win this motion, and that would be, let me stop that share. The way that he could win, exactly. The way that he'd win the motion is he just has to show a text message, an email, anything from any probation officer that gave him permission. Because if he's saying he's had a lot over the months or the years, that's totally understandable. Mm-hmm. You just need, even if it's not your current officer, if somebody else, like if 8 months ago, you were like, hey, I'm going on these dates to Switzerland and Paris and Europe, and they gave you permission, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I don't believe that happened It's because, baby, if I was his lawyer and I filed that motion, Exhibit A is the text message from the former PO who told me that was all right. Does that not make sense?
Couldn't he have submitted that with this paperwork that was submitted for asking for the hearing? Couldn't he have submitted
Only
it
if it
then?
existed. Only if it existed. That's my point. I don't believe that it did.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a thing. So I want to let you go ahead and give us some of your thoughts. I'm going to drop the link for the here we go. I'm going to drop the link while we're doing that for the call-in with the victims, which is about to start momentarily, but keep going.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the interview goes, it definitely felt like a waste of my 2 hours. I left more confused than when I got there. Things that stuck out to me was how he tried to build himself up at the beginning, letting us know that he's in therapy. He takes his therapy seriously, and that was what he was doing the night he met Jen, telling us that he did not watch the show at all, but he knew who she was. I found that interesting. And even I felt like Jen made it a point to say that he had poor representation during his his trial, that he had a lawyer who mysteriously dropped out like the night before he was supposed to go to court or something to that effect, and that he had a public defender, but that I found it hilarious that he said the public defender was invested in him, that he was texting him and saying, "I'm not even having sex with my wife because I am invested in this
Everybody
case."
loves him and is so invested. Y'all, if you're a part of my membership, I'm going to upload the entire transcript. Okay. I had to go in and I redacted the victim's name so that, because of course we're going to redact that. But if you're one part of my membership, you join my membership here on YouTube, you're going to have the whole thing and you will see what a S show that it was, that he was saying, these different claims. Because the truth of the matter is this: he had the opportunity to take 1 year and would have been out in like 90 days. He don't talk about that part, but he said, no, I want to take it to trial.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. When you hurt somebody that badly, a jury is not going to sympathize with your arrogance. And that's where he went wrong. A jury is not going to sympathize with that, but also a judge isn't going to sympathize with. A judge is going to think of how much trauma did you create here? And the other thing is they had multiple incidents of domestic violence, including one in which he was seen literally dragging her by her shirt into the apartment when she was trying to leave. So neighbors called cops on them multiple times. This was like the third or fourth incident. Thank you so much, Khadijah. So yes. So again, so y'all got that link. What does it say? The lawyer going celibate for his case. It was like watching him was like watching a really excellent multi-level marketing scheme, like coach do his thing. Like I'm sure this man could sell like kitchen knives door to door or whatever they, back in the college days. I mean, utterly ridiculous. It said, now there were a few comments I want to make sure I get a chance to answer. The question was the clip I put on earlier, was it from Basket Wives or their podcast they do? It was from Basket Wives.
Mm-hmm.
It was Basketball Wives. I said, I could have sworn they both said it was from a podcast where they were joking around. That was from the episode.
Yeah, they were filming the podcast on Basketball Wives when they, and not when he talked about the restitution, but the other clip that was kind of went viral where he was saying,
the going broke. I don't do broke.
I want a job, and that she's allergic to broke. They were filming their podcast while on Basketball Wives. Is how that happened.
And then is he in jail now? The answer is no, because he asked for and was granted a walk-in hearing. So that means between now and then, he should not be arrested. Now, there's a chance that a cop could, choose to just be a cop and arrest him, but he should not be arrested now that he is granted this walk-in hearing. And a great question. Rashida says, so is the judge blocking the wedding or for him to leave the country? I think is what she meant. So here's what the judge is saying. He can't do anything until September 6th hearing. The wedding is set for the 14th. Those are the key dates to pay attention to. September 6th and the 14th. On the 6th, the judge will decide whether he will be remanded and taken into custody to serve out the rest of his prison sentence, which would be another year, or it could be a lesser term, but the judge will determine, Are you going to be taken into custody, or are you going to be given permission to not have to go back into custody, which could happen as well? Or third, am I also going to grant you the reward? I'm going to reward your behavior and let you go party in Paris, boo. Now, what do y'all think the judge is going to say?
I think you're going back to jail.
I think at least for a little while, even if it's 30 days. The problem is that 30 days is going to go over what? The wedding date.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Jen is embarrassed.
Jen, don't pay them deposits. I hope you ain't paid them deposits yet, girl.
Oh, that's what I needed to. Okay, before I go. Okay, we're going to head over to the other one. Before I go. Carlos, other of Jen, Evelyn, Jen's other friends who've all bought your ticket. Here's the good news I've got for you. I'm going to give you a tip. Here is how you can possibly get some of your money back for this wedding that's not going to be happening. Is what you're going to do is not too late to buy trip insurance. Generally, up to 24 hours before your date of departure, you can contact your airline and add trip insurance on that bad boy. Yeah.
Get on
I
it
don't know
now.
if it's going to cover the groom going to prison. I'm not exactly sure how that works. You might want to call and just ask him, like, do you guys cover ghetto love stories? You cover ghetto love affairs that fall apart due to poor judgment and planning?
Yeah, maybe they can get
it really does. It said trip insurance. Oh, or you could add trip insurance and still go. Yes, go and have a party. Somebody said he's going to jail for scamming. Oh, we're going to get into that in the second part. And someone said, I bet he gets locked up because this isn't the first time. That's the thing. So and interestingly, they never addressed this at all on Carlos King. So I'm like, either y'all had this a long time ago, but even then, Carlos, boo-boo, call me next time. I can do it in the background. Nobody has to know. Attorney-client privilege. Let me prep you. Because even if it happened at the end, you can roll something at the back that says, we just learned X, Y, and Z, and this is their comment. But at that time, that arrest warrant had been out for a week. And again, like you said, he found out on social media, which is why they're now deleting videos and all this kind of stuff. I used to say she loves a ghetto love story.
Yeah, I checked Jen's page to see if she was going to delete any pictures of the Switzerland, and she hasn't. So
I think it's good. See, what I would have done if I was his attorney, I would have said it like, hey, there was a misunderstanding. This is business related for him in that they get paid to be on this show, and that, to assist him with paying his restitution or whatever, preventing recidivism. Part of that is being able to be gainfully employed. Just make it like a work-related trip. Yes, we're getting married, but the truth of the matter is Jen and Christian are selling this wedding to a network. Now, I don't know if they've already closed the deal or if it's being finalized, but generally it's already been finalized. And she is getting 6 figures. She's supposed to be getting 6 figures allegedly to film this wedding and then to have it covered by a network. Does that make perfect sense?
Like a separate special from Basketball Wives, kind of like how Symone did for her wedding?
Exactly. That's why there's all this buildup. That's why they had the channel. Blah, blah, blah. Now, let me tell you, I'm definitely watching if he's going to jail. It's going to be an amazing storyline. So I did see in their comments, some people were like, is this for a storyline? Oh boy, it was. Someone said Jen needs to call you.
And I just have to say, like, we're going over and going to hear from these victims, which I found surprising just because he didn't talk anything about using other people's money to invest on that interview. He talked about him investing and doing that separately and only charging people to learn what he does. He mentioned nothing about investing anyone else's money. So that's what shocked me, that we're hearing stories of this when he made no mention of that at all.
Because see, that's perfectly okay. You can teach them your skill set, but it's way more than that. All right, so guys, we're gonna head over now. I pinned the link on YouTube on my channel, Girl Is That Legal. So if you're watching from the Reality recap, I'm gonna I'll paste it in one more time. I think it should go to both channels. But if you just head right on over, the victims are waiting. So I'm just gonna tee up them in a clip.
Over there. Okay.
I'm gonna text you. I'll text you the invite link. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So we'll see you guys shortly. Thank you so much for joining.
Come over, guys.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.